So, I wanted to talk about something that maybe a lot of people don't talk about, the highs and lows of pursuing your path fully as an artist. You know, we all start off with different kinds of circumstances, and you know, there's definitely highs and lows. Especially if you're pursuing, you know, goals beyond just the process, right? So in my practice, my art practice, I want to say that I'm highly process driven, like where I make lots of iterations, but you know, they move into the larger moments, and this is how I teach my students too, that it's important to stay in your process and your practice. Like I say daily, because it will change your life, if anything else, but also you'll start to develop your visual language. You know, you don't just start off with that immediately, and actually it will change a lot if you stay in it too. Every day you'll like notice that it changes. I even notice like this mark here is coming into different places. You know, you start to notice these subtleties over time. That's what I'm trying to say. And you start to come online and align like internally. A lot of people don't necessarily talk about the internal journey of the art making process, even though we know that it's healing and helpful, but you know what happens when you have goals attached to, it's not just the process anymore. So it's becoming a product, it's becoming an art business, where you're teaching and coaching and, you know, selling work. Sometimes that can take you out of your process, but that's why I always like to say, have your practice, your art practice, like these things that sometimes don't mean anything in the moment, but over time they mean so much, right? And nobody really talks about the highs and lows of the journey, and you need to start to learn how to separate it all out, because there will be lows, and that's just the nature of living and, you know, having goals and pitching up to the moment. Sometimes you just see all the like fancy shiny things, and nobody got there just like a snap of the finger. I can't snap. You know, it didn't come without these sometimes like lows. And I'll even say, you know, there's been times in my life where I had like a show last summer, but my personal life was like stab, you know, internally, but I still like plowed through and made that work. And, you know, I think, you know, I made it to the best of my ability with everything that was going on. And, you know, I remember being finished with the work and I just had like a sinking feeling, like I wasn't excited about it at all. I know that sounds like horrible, like to say and like admit, but these things happen. You know, you can come off of like, you know, the streak, or like finally you obtain the thing that you've been working towards, then you kind of hit this low. So highs and lows, this happens in living too, right? You can be high in love, and then there could be like a low, you know, because eventually things change. And like, if you really want to stay in something, it takes hard work and real conversations. You can't just run away from something. You know what I mean? So like, you see what I'm saying is you can't run away from the work if you have the goal. So you have to like learn how to get your mindset strong and get that internal places and spaces with that energy and the emotionality. Really, like, it's never gonna be like this. It's usually like like your heartbeat, that heart monitor. You want to know you're alive, right? So sometimes there's that crash, And it happens when you're in like the highest place, but then you can be in the lowest place, and then the thing comes up and you're back on again. So it's that creative dance. It's that learning to stay present and like having that awareness. And that's why F.A.C.E, my program that's coming in January, is such like a powerful idea and program that I'm building currently, with the idea in mind that it starts from the inside, and it's the internal moving to the external. It's like that undulating wave, but it comes from inside to the outside. Because I know what it's like to be in those low lows, not just in art, but in living. And I know what it's like to survive it all too. And not only survive, but start to thrive in who I am, fully, and like just learn to turn that on. And that's exciting. So when we learn how to face it all, we learn to like celebrate ourselves and each other in the process too. And judgment becomes less and less. I'm not saying it never happens, but and you find the right support, and then the right resonance, and all these things start zipping around and zinging around. But that doesn't mean that there won't be a bad day, and it definitely doesn't mean that there won't be like a bad, not bad, but just not realized artwork, It doesn't always work out. But, that doesn't mean we have to stop trying. And it's important to say this kind of thing and just admit that there are highs and lows. And it isn't always easy. And we don't all have the same circumstances, so, we might have to work through more emotional stuff in order to start tapping into that internal place and space in order to get to these marks and moments. And we might just have to, like, do something else in order to get the money to fund us, or find the funding somewhere if we're lucky. So we keep trying and keep, falling down, but we keep getting back up too. And that's kind of like, I think to be an artist is like to do it no matter what, and you find some inner grit and inner resilience, and it doesn't matter if anyone's liking it or buying it, or it matters like you're showing up to the moment, and you're just gonna do it no matter what. That you become like someone different entirely, I have to say. And then things start to kind of open once you kind of like can anchor into those awarenesses. And of course, we don't all have the same goals and desires. So when we're thinking about awarenesses, we want to like get clear in our heart and mind, right? And kind of start to find what is it that we really want to say, not just in like the mark making and the abstract expressionist, intuitive, raw, emotional work, but also what do we want to say like in the as we show up to the moment. And a lot of times words are going to be required if you're going to write a grant proposal, or write what it's about. And it's okay to have words, and words are important too, as much as art, because that tells you a story and it defines who you are as an artist or a person. And of course it's still unlimited and infinite, but you can just keep writing words and keep making marks and keep flowing with it all, and keep showing up daily. So F.A.C.E is Forge Ahead, Create Every Day, and my program opens next January. And if you've been struggling in any of these areas, we'll be looking at the bodies, the emotional body, the physical body, and how that relates to the work, the energetic, the breath, and the way we move into the mark in the moment. Noticing these subtle nuances over time. You can really come online even more internally, which anchors you in a different kind of way. And then, of course, there's the poetic and the intuitive soul. And when we learn to integrate and think about the body of work as the long game, not just as this immediate thing that you have to make in 12 weeks or something. It's a lifetime. We're freeing up more space to not put so much pressure on ourselves, because some of us need to go slower. Some of us, if you're sensitive and taking too much energetic stuff when you're in a big group and you can't learn it all because it's crammed in there, you want to go slower. And I want to say that it's important to say it's okay to go slow. This environment, this marketing stuff, it makes you want to go fast, but it's not really how healing happens. It's not how coming into your voice and style happens. It's not how fixing a relationship happens. It takes time. And it's something that when you learn to face it, you'll be able to surf more easier with the highs and lows. I'm not going to say there'll never be a low. That would be ridiculous. It's not always going to be happy. It's hard work. And this is why F.A.C.E is important, because it means, we're realistic, but we're still hopeful, and we still believe in magic and play and the heart and the wild freedom that is allowed. We also have to plan for the setbacks. Not plan, but just realize that they're part of the process too. And break the illusion that it just happens overnight. Any of this stuff, right? And that's what F.A.C.E is about, Besides being deep and free and silly and playful and poetic and energetic and emotional, when we can turn that, really look within and start to look externally too, right, at things that are inspiring and how we show up to the moment and do the hard work, we can really start to kind of give ourselves this different trajectory. And kind of break the illusion that there isn't always this immediacy. And I'm not saying that it doesn't mean that there couldn't be, but there's more often than not that it's the long game. And how are you going to stay in it when it's hard? Because that's when you're going to really want to quit. So you find out what you're made of in that hard part, in art and living, in that explosion, when things don't go your way that you planned, or if someone betrays you in the process of living or art. You find out what you're made of when you bounce back into the moment and the mark. And you become someone different entirely. And that's what I'm here to help you do. Because I know what it's like on all of these levels. And of course, I'm still facing it myself. But I'm your perfect guide to help you come online, come alive, and get creating from that deep internal place, with a realization and the understanding that it doesn't always work out immediately, but we don't give up. We don't quit on ourselves. We don't abandon ourselves for anyone else or anything else. We don't abandon our expression for anything else. That's powerful. And even if you never want to become the full-time artist with those higher, lengthier goals, just immersing yourself in the process and the understanding and connecting to yourself is the best thing ever that you could do for yourself. Because if you're hiding out in some kind of lie, believe me, I know what that's like, and you're not admitting what it is, when you're not releasing that out of you, you're gonna just suffer. It's just the nature of the whole thing. What's awesome about an intuitive, non-representational, abstract relationship to drawing is that it's a low barrier entry, like, so the creative curious, or if you're just looking to connect like to the deeper internal places and spaces that you've been hiding in, and you haven't been in that real desire, like living into that fullest expression, then you start to build a relationship to yourself through the mark and the moment. And over time, there's the you come online. But it's scary to face ourselves when we don't really want to admit something. We don't want to admit, oh, I really want to make that work. I really need to say that thing. I really need to go get this kind of support. Or I'm gonna there's all these things that we kind of compartmentalize and run away from. And the power of art making is finding that freedom. And we're just talking about the process, and then we have to learn to separate out what are the next goals and what are the desires and where do you see yourself, because success can be defined by you, and it should be, and success isn't always monetary, although it can be, but we got a lot of things backwards because of the way things are presented. So F.A.C.E really lets you look inside and say, do I even want that thing that I'm running towards, because oftentimes you find out that you don't really want the thing that you thought you should go get because you attached the external value to it, and it's what everybody else does. Sometimes we're muddied and don't understand that it doesn't have to be that in order to be successful. So we learn to strip all that away and get more clear internally, and then define it for yourself, ourselves, as artists, as creatives, as people who want to express multiple things in the world, creativity, creation. And that's exciting. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the highs and the lows and give you this motivational speech, because I'm feeling pumped up and I'm excited, and I just know that there's more than one way. Maybe there's a different way, and I want to be the change that I see and speak more fully into all of it.